Hello, welcome to the Reveal Podcast. This is where faith meets healing. I am your host, Nancy Yamoa. On this podcast, we are going to be uncovering God's heart together. We are going to be healing ourselves, body, mind, and soul, as well as step into our purpose of who God called us to be. This is a safe space to be still, to be healed, and to be revealed. Welcome. So a little bit about myself. Like I mentioned, my name is Nancy Yamoa. I was born in Ghana, West Africa, Ghanaian. Okay, I am a practicing occupational therapist. If you don't know what that is, please go to my lovely OT channel to find out all about OT. That's what I've been doing for the past almost 9 years. I am also a co-founder of Black in Rehab. If you don't know about Black in Rehab, definitely follow us on Instagram. So I have been going through a healing journey for literally the past 12 months. It was a year last month. So I started my healing journey back in 2024. And I didn't know how bad I was still feeling, or I didn't know how bad I still needed healing until last year, June 2024. To bring it back into perspective, so I went to this retreat last year in June in Houston. And that was the first time I really felt like I wasn't myself. I felt like I had lost myself in a way, but I just couldn't explain why I was feeling that way. There was a lot of things that was going on. And so I knew something was off. I just felt like I just didn't know who I was anymore. And even though I was present physically, mentally, I wasn't there. Definitely wasn't there spiritually as well. And when I got back home from Houston, I kind of woke up one morning and I was like, I can't keep doing this. I cannot do this. And I just started crying out to God. I knew where I needed to go to feel whole again. And so I started crying out to God. And so, of course, you have friends, you have family that you can talk to, but I really think that God was trying to use that season to just talk to me one-on-one. And so I couldn't even pick up the phone to call anyone, and I couldn't really confide in anybody else. I felt like this was a season for me and God to really go head to head, toe to toe, to really talk to each other. And so I started asking God and asking myself, why am I feeling so empty? Why am I feeling like I don't want to be on this earth anymore? Now, you would ask, why was I feeling this way? So I experienced a lot of loss. So starting COVID is what set everything off. Before COVID, I had not really experienced any major loss in my life. Honestly, I had not. And so that was the first time that I experienced traumatic loss, where I lost patients I had treated just a week ago or a couple of days ago, hearing that they have passed away. And it was so rapid. It was one after the other, one after the other. And there was nothing that I could do. There was nothing that anybody could do. And I remember calling my mom on the phone and just crying to her and saying, Mom, I don't think I can do this. They're dying and I can't do anything. And I was just sobbing on the phone. And she's like, baby girl, you're going to be okay. Just pray. God is with you. If you can help those people, just help them any way that you can. And God is so funny, because I was one of the, I think my therapy department probably had about 8 people. And out of the 8 people, it was myself and one other person that did not get COVID. And so I had to keep showing up to work. Like, I could have just quit my job and I could have just moved on or just stayed home and had unemployment checks. But for some reason, I didn't even think about that, because in that moment, I was like, I need to show up for my patients. The least I can do is show up and give them a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of motivation, a little bit of hope that it's going to be okay. And it was not okay. I lost a lot of weight. I was miserable inside and out, because it's just to put yourself in a situation where you feel like you wish you can do more, but there's nothing that you can do. Like, the situation is out of your hand and people are dying around you and you can't do nothing about it. And so that's where started my journey of loss and feeling lost. So after going through COVID, I moved from Maryland to Charlotte. And once I moved, I got settled in, got a new job, started working. This is when I got the second wave of loss. I had a call from Ghana, and on the line was not a voice that I was familiar with. and the voice told me, Dan is gone. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, it didn't really register until they said it again. And I was like, what do you mean he's gone? Like, he's gone where? And Dan was my best friend. I grew up with Dan. He was someone that I would talk to all the time. He would be on the phone with me for hours just talking about life. And he had just gotten married, and I had just spoken to him probably like 3 or 2 days before that, and he was telling me on the phone how he had a dream and he saw me in a dream, and we're all giggling and laughing together. And so getting a phone call that Dan went to sleep and never woke up was a shock to me, because Dan was healthy, he was young, he wasn't sick, there was nothing wrong with him. And it literally threw me for a loop. I did not see that coming at all. And once again, I went into another shock and another just months of just grieving this heavy loss of losing someone that I was so close to, that meant so much to me. After that, maybe a year after that, I had another loss. I was in a relationship that I thought was going to amount to something, but ended up not amounting to nothing. But, looking back with a different perspective, a different eye, it was definitely not a relationship that I should have been anyway. And God always used funny ways to really get you out of situations that you're not supposed to be in the first place. And I thank God for that. But that was another loss that I had to experience. Another loss that I experienced was one of my really, really good friends that I was friends with on social media, Amelia. I used to talk to this girl almost every day, and I knew that she was battling cancer, and she has been battling cancer for a while. And, we still met, we still talk about the things that we wanted to do together, the goals that she had. And we were so hopeful that God was going to do something. We prayed about this disease that she was struggling with. And at the end of the day, God still decided to take her away from me and away from the world. She was such a bright light, and she was such an amazing person and an amazing addition to the OT community. And, that was another loss that I had to experience. That was another loss that I had to overcome. And I was just so tired of loss. And throughout this period of loss, my father, if you know me, I am daddy's girl. I am the first daughter of 4 kids. And me and my dad have always been close ever since I can remember. As a little girl, he just loves his baby girl so much. And I love him so much. And watching my dad, and my dad has always been just a manly man, and watching him fade away and watching him get sick was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to witness. And my dad is still sick. My dad is still going through his own issues. But I just didn't think that at this age, I'm so young, in my mid-30s, that I would experience having a sick parent, having a parent that can't no longer do for themselves again. So that was another loss. I feel like I had lost my father. Even though he's still here physically, cognitively, he's not really here. Sometimes he doesn't recognize you. He doesn't know what's going on. So that was another loss that I had to experience. And it was just loss after loss after loss. And I was felt so tired and so drained. And I was just like, God, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can take another hit. I don't think I can take another loss. And I was like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready when you are. If you were to come and take me back home today, I'm not going to take myself out, but if you were to come and take me home today, I would be okay. If I go to sleep and not wake up the next morning, it would be fine. It would be fine with me. I just didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I really did not. And even though I was going through all of these hard, life-changing losses, I never really took the time to grieve. I never took the time to really work through my feelings, to just sob and let myself feel hurt. I didn't feel safe to talk to someone about it. I didn't talk to my family, not my friends. I didn't talk to anybody about it. And so I barely even talked to God about it. I was just going through the motion. I was getting up, going to work, showing up on social media, creating videos, showing up for my community. But I was showing up for everybody else but myself. I wasn't showing up for myself. I wasn't loving myself. I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do to fill my cup. And so for months and over months and months and after months went by, I started to feel empty. it was almost like I had nothing else to give. There was nothing else that I had to give. I was so tired, so drained. And even though I was doing all of these wonderful things on social media, and I was going to conferences, and I was starting projects, and I had Black and Rehab and all these things, inside within myself, I felt so empty. I felt so lost. I felt so tired. And so the only place that I knew to go to was God. Through those months, from like about 7 months, from June to November, that's what I did. Would cry, pray, fast. And I lost so much weight just fasting and praying. And through that season, God really showed me why he called me, why I'm here. He showed me, he gave me a new purpose. He transformed me. He pruned me. And then in November, I ended up getting baptized. God just kept telling me, he's like, I kept seeing it in dreams to get baptized. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and get baptized. And so I went ahead and got baptized. And so once I started talking to God about how I felt, the first thing that God told me was rest. And I was like, what do you mean rest? Like, I'm not used to resting. I'm the go-getter. I'm the get up and go get it. Like, I've never rested. I've been working since I was 16. What do you mean rest? And so he started to teach me how to rest, how to be still, and to hear his voice, how to talk to him. And I started to really understand that even though I had been a Christian for all these years, I really didn't know God. I really didn't understand him. I didn't really know his voice. And I don't think that he even knew my voice as well. And so in that darkness, in that wilderness season, isolation season, that's when I really started to learn who I was, who God had made me to be, what he wanted me to continue to do, how he wanted me to show up. He started to heal me. He started to build me back up brick by brick by brick. And before he was able to build me, he had to tear down the old me, who I thought I was going to be, who I thought that I was. He tore that down. And after he tore that down, we started to build back up again, brick by brick by brick. God used this time to prune me, to transform me. And this is what the channel is going to be about. It's going to be about my journey in this past 12 months, how it has been, what I have learned, the advice, all the messages that God has given me. I literally have a notebook full of revelations that God has given me. So I hope that with this podcast, we'll be able to share together. You are going to see the raw and unedited side of me, the side where I may get emotional on camera, because I'm going to try not to do too much editing, because I want you guys to step into my word, and I want to also be able to step into yours, so you can get to know me, get to know God through me, heal through to be able to heal through this podcast, and to be able to find your purpose. I really honestly believe that we all have a purpose. God has called all of us to a great purpose and a great task, but there's no way for us to know what that purpose is unless we go through the process of healing and transformation. And the only way for us to properly heal and to be properly transformed is to go back to God. I really, really hope that this podcast will be a blessing to you wherever you are that you're watching this. But it's going to be a place where you can just feel like you are home, a place where you can feel still, when you can feel healed, when you can be transformed and pruned. When the devil put me in isolation, he meant for me to die there. But one thing about God is that he changes situations around. He makes the impossible possible. So while I was in isolation, while the devil planned for me to die, God planned to use isolation for transformation. So today, if I am here and feeling well and blessed and content and happy, filled with joy, that has nothing to do with this world. I want to share that joy with you guys. I want to share all the things that I have learned. I want to share God's grace with you, his love for you. He loves you more than you can ever understand. The love that God has for us is unimaginable. Sometimes it's hard to go through loss and pain and losing things and people that you love so much, that you held so dearly to your heart. But God is always going to use something that the devil meant for evil. God is always going to turn it around for good, especially if you trust him, especially if you have faith in him, especially if you move from the driver's seat and let him be in the driver's seat and let him guide you and guard you. Oh my God, you would be so surprised at things that God has in store for you. I really hope that this podcast will be a blessing to anybody who just needs to feel God. We just need to know that God is with you and He has not left you and He never will leave you. And He said in Isaiah, and I love this passage in Isaiah 9 verse 2, it says, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. Isaiah 9 verse 2. I love this passage because it reminds us, you know how we always say there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Literally, there is light in the darkness. And I know sometimes when you're going through the darkness, it may not feel like there's any light, but I will assure you that there is light in the darkness, even though you may not feel like it, even though it may not be like it. From where I was a year ago until now, oh, God has been so faithful. God has been so amazing. And if God can do that for me, beloved, let me tell you, God can do it for you over and over and over, more than He has done for me. That is the God that we serve. That is the God that I trust. And I know that He's going to move mountains with this podcast. I know that He's going to use it to heal people, not only spiritually, but also emotional healing, mental healing, physical healing. God is going to make us into the whole beings that He created for us to be. And so definitely make sure that you subscribe, come back next week, and I know that God is going to give you another message that will change your life for the better. I love you guys so much with the love of God, and I'll see you in the next episode. Mwah!